and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, welcome. My name is Vanessa and I like to talk about books. Today I'm doing a video that is quite late to the party and I'm reacting to the news that LORE Olympus, which is the webtoons comic, is being published in paperback. This video is suitable for people that don't know what LORE Olympus is and have just clicked on this video because you're curious, you want to know what it's about. There's absolutely no spoilers in this video, but this video is also suitable for those that have read it, that are fans, just so we can have a little bit of a chat as well. LORE Olympus is a 3-year-old comic that updates every Sunday on Webtoons. It is free to read on Webtoons, so I'm going to leave a link down below to the Webtoons comic if you want to have a read of it yourself. And I'm also going to leave a link for the pre-order for the paperback in the description below. If you're wanting to pre-order this, it comes out in October. As I said, this is a long-standing comic. This is one of the most, if not the most popular comic on the Webtoons platform. It has millions of subscribers that follow its updates every Sunday, and it has hundreds of millions of views on this platform. At the time of recording this, there's almost 150 episodes, and the paperback is going to feature episodes 1 to 25. This did make me a little bit nervous because I'm going to have to clear a whole shelf on my bookcases as they're coming out in paperback. 1 to 25 would currently be looking at 6 editions that would be coming out in paperback. I don't know how long this series is going to go on for. Apparently there is a planned end, but I don't think it's been said how many seasons we're going to get of this. I also haven't read the entire series, so please don't leave any spoilers in the comments for me. I got up to about, I don't know, maybe a couple of episodes into season 2, but I'm not very good at keeping up with things weekly. I first discovered this online comic when I was going through my big Percy Jackson phase, and I was just into anything Greek mythology, and I was just searching the internet for anything I could get my hands on that I could indulge myself in for Greek mythology. And I discovered this comic because it has such a vast fan base. LORE Olympus borrows characters and themes and storylines and relationships from Greek mythology and creates this modern romance comedy drama. The main storyline is of Persephone, who is a 19-year-old goddess of spring, and she meets Hades, who is one of the big 3 gods, and he's the god of the underworld. He takes quite a shine to Persephone, and they start off on this roller coaster of a relationship in their world amongst all of the challenges that are thrown at them and all of the other characters intervening as well. Although that is the main storyline, there is hundreds of other storylines for their characters and for other characters as well. There's a ton of cast in this, and they're all unique and they're all well drawn and have their own personalities and storylines, which are really enjoyable. It's a little bit of like a celebrity drama. The gods in this world are celebrities. You obviously have the big 3 brothers who in Olympus run the show, as in Greek mythology. And then you have the minor gods who played like a celebrity role, but ideally they're just going around their normal life. Olympus is set in a modern setting, although in Earth, or the land of the people, that's still in ancient Greek time, which took me a little while to get my head around, but I actually really enjoyed that. You get kind of like the best of both worlds in that sense. The one thing that I want to stress about this comic is it has such good use of humour. This is absolutely my ideal sense of humour in media. I absolutely love like the sarcastic wittiness of this comic. I can imagine that it's not a comedy that everybody would like, but it certainly is absolutely perfect for me. It's like a dry humour, and I love that in this comic. Although this definitely is packed with comedy, this graphic novel does touch on some really dark adult themes, and especially if you are sensitive to, I would maybe stay away from this comic. It does touch on very strong themes such as that and manipulation, but I find that the comedy really helps get you through these really upsetting storylines. To me, it just has the right balance of addressing these very difficult topics whilst keeping at the heart of what this truly is, which is a light-hearted romance because it has this comedy element to it. I find it really enjoyable to read. At some points it was quite upsetting, but that's why I'm glad I binge read it, so that I could just keep reading through it to get into a light-hearted point in the story again. I think if I'd been reading it weekly, I would have really struggled. Even though the comics are quite small, it only takes you like a minute or so to actually read one of the episodes, there's actually a lot that goes into it, and you would not believe how much storyline and depth is in this comic series. There's so many characters being fleshed out, And one of the things I really want to draw on a lot in this video is the art style. For a lot of people, the art style can really make or break their enjoyment of reading a comic, and I'm definitely one of those people, but I'm quite picky with whether I stay with a series based on its art style. One of my favourite graphic novels, comics of all time is Saga, and that's purely because I think the art in it is just absolutely beautiful, and not only am I consuming it for the words and for the storyline, I'm consuming that this is someone's drawn and someone's art and they've made this, and I think this is beautiful. Lore Olympus is one of the most colourful, most beautiful uses of colour in a comic series that I've ever seen. Every character is very bold and bright and beautiful, and it's definitely not just like one or two colours in this comic, because every character has their own colour with the exception of some family members. I just think it makes the most beautiful thing to look at, and I'm so excited to get this in paperback, and that's the reason why I'm so excited to get this in paperback, because I can't wait to see what the colours look like together on the page printed in front of me. I think it's going to be a totally different experience reading this in paperback, but I'm really hoping that the paper is nice and glossy so that you can actually see these colours. My biggest concern with these coming out as being published in paperback is that they might get published in black and white, purely because the price of the book is very cheap for how many pages it's going to be, and I'm hoping that it's like the same paper that's used in Saga so that you get these nice bright glossy colours on the page. Anyway, back to the art style. Initially when I was reading the first episode, I couldn't really get away with the art style. I found it quite hard to follow, but as the episodes develop, the art style quickly develops as well into something that's more cohesive and easier on the eyes. Because this comic ended up becoming so successful, the author did bring in a team every now and again who she credits at the end of every episode. I've noticed that it's different people for different episodes, but the art style remains true to her style for this series. This whole series is free to read, and that just honestly blows my mind. This is the illustrator's and author's full-time job, and she's been able to do that off the back of Patreon. And I just think that's a lovely way to make that your creation free for the people that want to consume it freely, but also that people support her in what she does so that she's able to focus on this as a project that she wants to do full-time. The fan base for Lore Olympus is so creative and unique. I've not seen much of it. I'm not like that involved. I don't really read the comments on each of the episodes, and I don't comment myself. But there is like a ton of fan-made merchandise, and there is a whole section of TikTok dedicated to cosplaying the characters from this series. This is absolutely my guilty pleasure. I love it a lot. And when I found out that they were going to be published as paperbacks, I reread the first volume or the first season in like 2 days of not sleeping. I would wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and decide to like read a bit more because I was so excited by what I was reading. This is absolutely one of my favourite interpretations of Greek mythology. It is so unique and so creative, and definitely reaches a new type of audience. I think this could genuinely be enjoyed by people that just strictly read romance and don't read anything like fantasy or mythology. I say this quite a lot on my channel, but I'm not very interested in romance, especially like male-female romance relationships. It's just something that I don't necessarily like swoon over, but the romance in this, I'm telling you, I was into this romance and into this love story. I am hooked, line, distinct. This author, like, me dead. I've sat for 5 minutes with the camera on trying to think of reasons why I find this comic so addictive, but I honestly urge you, if you haven't read this and you like romance comedy, it's not light and fluff, it hits hard with some scenes and some themes, but the comedy in it is excellent as well. I absolutely urge you to give this comic a go. It is absolutely free, it costs you nothing. Spend about half an hour reading it for free and then come back and tell me in the comments what you thought of it, because it only took me about 10 to 15 episodes for me to be absolutely hooked on this. I can't wait to see this story unfold in my hands, with these images on paper in my hands for me to consume. I have decided I'm going to stop reading the comic at this point, in the hopes that these get printed maybe like 2 or 3 times a year so that I can actually complete this story in my hands, because I just don't like reading things off my phone. I just think it ruins the experience. I have tried web comics a lot of times, but I've never found one that I love as much as this one. I've never found one that I've found so addictive as this one, where I love the characters so much and I feel such a deep connection to wanting everything to just work out well. Persephone and Hades are beautiful, beautiful characters, but this comic series wouldn't be anything without the full cast behind it. I love Artemis, who is like Persephone's roommate. She is sort of like the embodiment of a really tough, strong woman who, there is some hints that she's sapphic as well, but that's another video. We have Hera, who has the traits of jealousy, but also of being very motherly and very, very bothered when she perceives that a woman may have gone through something bad. And one of my favourite characters as well in this series is Nymph, who is a river nymph in the underworld. That was really incredibly hard to say, I'm so sorry. But I mean, just look at this character. Like, if you haven't read this comic, aren't you just so intrigued to know what happens to this person and what this person is like? If you have read this comic series, you'll have a lot of opinions on this, but personally I really love this character. I don't know why. She's just like, she's just that girl, you know? If you are still watching this video, I really hope that I've convinced you to go and look into Lore Olympus. It's a world that I absolutely love, and I think it's such a fresh, unique take on Greek mythology. If you've never read something like this before, it's free. What's stopping you from having a go? I think if you like soap dramas, you might like this. Like, that's the type of thing I would recommend to people that aren't readers but would watch like a lot of soaps. I don't know what the American word for soaps is. Does anyone know? American viewers are going to be watching like, I have no idea what you're going on about. Never mind. So that's it for me today. I just wanted to make a quick video just bringing some awareness to Lore Olympus, which is a comic series that I absolutely love. And because it's been announced that it's coming out in paperback in October, I thought that this would be the perfect time to talk about it. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing so you don't miss my future uploads, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!